Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Nerds of Legend, where we're gonna do another segment for Talk Nerdy to Us. As always, my name is Brian, and I'm joined with Ben and with Joel. Guys, how you feeling today?
We're doing all right.
Yeah, I'm good. Just woke up, but
Second
As
shift
you
left.
do.
which I still feel super lazy, even though I work third, and I'm like, I just woke up. And it's like 3 in the afternoon. I still there's a little part in the back of my head that's like, you're a bum. But
You're a lazy piece of shit.
yeah, guess who doesn't live in the real world? You.
Such is the life when you're a grown up and you're trying to still get your gaming in.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I roll out of bed and grab a cup of coffee, make a breakfast burrito, and I'm like, it's time to talk about dork stuff. My wife's like, should we talk? I don't have time for that woman. It's game time.
You're married to her. You can do that anytime you want.
Yeah, but D&D only happens every so often.
Exactly. So
No, she's still working. So I mean, like that's how it all works. She works from home, but yeah, she's doing that. So I'd also like to announce she is pregnant. We're expecting a baby nerd.
Woo!
Oh,
Very excited.
Yeah.
Yes.
excellent.
So,
Little baby Joel.
yes, tiny nerd.
Tiny.
Congratulations on your seed.
Yes, I'm very pleased with the fact that I will be able to make my own party soon.
I mean,
Alex
that
said
is
it.
the goal of a big family, is it not? Like,
Yeah,
making
it
sure
is.
that you can like.
Big
To have
Alex
players
said
you can ground if they
congratulations.
don't show up.
Big
Oh,
Alex
you
said
didn't show up to the
congratulations.
gaming
Joel.
table on time? You are grounded. Why else would you have family? See, back in the day, it was for farmhands. Now it's to fill out a campaign.
There is no lie detected in your logic, sir.
No, there isn't. It is flawless. I would go so far as to say perfect. It's perfect logic. All right, sorry, I'm off track. Let's go.
It's top 30 to us. If we're not off track, then we're not doing it right.
Yeah, we're not
No,
doing it right. If we had to be on topic, I'd be like, well, let's just start over.
Oh, hey. Speaking of starting over, are you looking to start over with your dice collection? Maybe add to it. Maybe kind of like find something new and interesting.
Are
but
you
don't wanna
suggesting grow my dice collection? Hmm?
I very well might.
Add
And
to it?
you could grow your own personal dice hoard and just be a dice dragon like myself. If you go to Tabletop Loot right now, because Tabletop Loot has one of the best selections of dice.
I love the obvious lead into the shills. You know,
Of course,
it
yeah.
reminds it's so much like the old, like I love those old radio broadcasts. My favorite
50s
one,
radio
the guy would walk in and be like, "Say, are you having a bright day? Bright like your kitchen floors?" Like, Loved it.
Oh, yeah, I loved it too.
oh god, those shills are fun. Like especially if you do it really funny.
But yeah,
The George Burns show.
Also-
in the meantime, you interrupted his shilling. So
Oh, my
Brian,
fault.
I believe you
Shill
should
away,
continue.
Well, if you want your own awesome set of dice and you want to know what we're talking about every time we keep doing this shill and whatnot, then you should go to tabletoploot.com. Tabletop Loot has some of the finest dice and at a great price, so you won't break the bank. Speaking of price, you can go to tabletoploot.com right now and put in the code NOL15 to get 15% off any set of dice in their store. You can also go ahead and sign up for their subscription box, which is about $25 a month. And if you go ahead and sign up for that, you'll get minimum 4 sets of dice delivered to your door every single month or bi-month or even something like quarterly or whatever. So it's a great way to build your own dice. And sometimes they also send you neat little goodies as well that are not dice. Just, interesting nerd stuff. But they're always fantastic dice. And each set of dice that you get in the subscription box is not actually available in the store until a month later. So if you want to have the hottest new dice right away, you got to go to tabletoploot.com.
Really helps me scratch my dice goblin itch.
Oh, yeah. I mean, every single month since, what was it, 2017, 2018, I've been
Oh.
getting dice from them from like every month, and it is fantastic.
They are so much fun. Like I too have gone in there. I have just as far as the Nerds of Legend thing, I have just backed a Kickstarter, which I shared with you guys, called Arcana. It is a 3D digital map where you can interact with your world. It got fully funded in about 8 hours, which is pretty impressive. But if you guys are interested, check out Arcana. We'll have the link put up in our chat, and but I'm hoping to be able to add it to our gameplay so we could have interactive maps so that you guys can navigate the world with us. That's just a little thing we're looking at. But now I've got that's my little blur, my little shill, since I'm gonna co-shill now. But
Well, Joel, did you take a look at the Kickstarter I sent you, the Adventures in ADHD?
I haven't had a chance because of ADHD. So but yeah, no, I will definitely take a look at it.
All right. Well, I think that's enough shilling for the day.
No,
How
we
about
can shill
get
longer.
back to the show?
Welcome to Shills of Legend.
I mean, what is having power and as far as the stream goes if you're not bringing attention to cool Kickstarters?
Oh my god! Like any cool thing. Once I saw that, like Arcana basically will allow me to build the map, and then you guys will be able to interact with that map. That is a physical map I can build, and then you guys can move your characters through it on your tablet or mobile device, which I thought was like that'd be super great.
That is pretty interesting.
I did see the Dante's Inferno one, which I think is pretty boss.
It is awesome. I am getting it. I know I'm getting the PDF copy for it next month early. I think the physical copy shouldn't be that far behind after that. Maybe like a couple of months. I mean, it's got to ship here from like Italy, so
Yeah.
But
no, like kind of like one in Italian because I think it'd be a good talking point, and then maybe get me to want to learn Italian.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the great thing about that is that I actually backed it at the highest level. So not only am I getting the campaign book, plus the player's guide, plus like the bestiary sort of thing, but also I'm getting the special edition of the actual story, Dante's Inferno, including all of the different artwork that they're making for this campaign. So it's like an art book / actual revised edition of Dante's Inferno, which I think is going to be really interesting. I mean, I already have the whole Divine Comedy, and I like because I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
But I
like that you're having the Divine Comedy as a nerd when it was like the height of literature for like hundreds of years.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
You're like, I'm a nerd. I have this book. Yes, scholars have written books about it.
Mid-1400s.
But then you wonder, like, hundreds of years from now, somebody's going to be like, yes, my thesis is on the original Dungeons and Dragons rule book. You'll be like, what?
Yes, the great American classic, From Blood and Ash.
I would wonder that, like, when they wrote the book, where they're like, what is this garbage? And then, like, 100 years later, somebody's like, so I was reading this. Like, old-timey hipsters are like, I've read a book you don't know anything about. It's called Dracula from Bram Stoker.
I remember, like, being in, like, grade school and, like, finding these, like, classics or whatever, and it's like, you're, like, reading them, and you're like, oh. Just being all hipster about it.
Oh, my God. It was so funny. My boys came up to me the other day and were like, Dad, we heard about this guy. You've never heard of him. He's super cool. His name's Weird Al Yankovic. I was like, yeah, never heard of the guy. Not once.
No. He hasn't. Oh my gosh.
That's
Do you guys remember the villain from Raiders of the Lost Ark?
I don't remember his name, but I remember he's like just the stereotypical German villain.
The one that's
no,
like Himmler, like the bald dude.
No, not the guy who runs around and is all like "Hey, Hitler." No, I'm talking about the French guy,
Yeah,
Belloc.
we're canceled. No.
Yeah.
No, Belloc.
Just that one
the French
time.
guy.
Yeah, the French guy. That was one thing that he actually got right about, like, if he takes something and he buries it in the sand, 1,000 years from now, it's like priceless and whatnot. Like, that is how it could be if, like, just say for example, we took one of the RPG books and like we just buried it somewhere. Like, imagine finding that thousands of years from now and being all like, you know, oh, what is
Evidently,
this?
you haven't tried to buy one of the original Red Rule books because they are incredibly expensive. That shit's not buried anywhere.
That's very true. Oh man, the red box.
Yeah, I want one so bad. Like,
Memory.
I would never even open it. I would just put it on display as like I want it. As like, all right. I think we actually have topics to talk about, but we're just going to jabber incessantly about dumb shit. So I think
That's what we do. I mean, and
Yeah.
you know what? If nothing else, it's more authentic than like. I mean, not that we don't have authentic conversations about other things, but like, if nothing else, I'm fine with being authentic and just like spur of the moment, top of the head sort of thing. But I guess we'll jump into one of the topics that we got today. If you guys haven't noticed, I'm surrounded by a bunch of books, and
no idea. I didn't pick that up.
Weird. I didn't notice.
And yeah.
Yeah, I didn't notice you had done anything new.
Well, one of the reasons for that is because we here at Nerds of Legend are, thinking about new content to bring you guys to entertain and also to, enjoy ourselves and whatnot. And for a while there, we were kind of kicking around the idea of doing like a vampire game or just something else as far as like, content is concerned. And while Vampire the Masquerade is a really fun game, I'm not gonna lie, it's not for everyone.
Mhm.
And my biggest concern is that while I might have a lot of fun creatively with Vampire the Masquerade, I'm not certain it's a good fit for our group, or at least that's what I was thinking. To kind of like give you guys an insight into my mind, how I work and whatnot. A lot of the great ideas that I have for campaigns or for characters or things like that usually come to me when I'm at work. My job is not very mentally demanding, and therefore my mind is often free to kind of like wander and do other things. And so I really have nothing to do but to think while I'm at work. So one of the things I was thinking about this week in particular was like, okay, Vampire the Masquerade has a very open-ended story structure. It tends to be very character-focused. It tends to focus a lot on personal horror and political horror. And it's just, in general, very open-ended, which is not a great fit for this group. We tend to get off a topic really, really easily, and especially when we don't have like a goal, like a more traditional like D&D goal, we tend to kind of flounder a bit.
I'm feeling personally attacked.
So I was thinking to myself, like, okay,
I like to have a MacGuffin to chase.
Yeah,
I mean,
me
yeah.
too. I like you to be like, you have blah blah blah. Like I like a little bit of direct. It's in an open-ended world. Like you get lost. Like I just think about any sandbox game where you're like, where are you gonna go? I'm gonna walk straight over the mountain. Oh, there's dragons.
Because the sad
Yeah,
thing
like-
is, whenever I play an open-ended game, I just end up picking up every side quest that I encounter along the way, and I get really angry when I can't complete them all.
Then you end up with a quest journal that's like literally takes you about 45 seconds to scroll through just the titles.
Yeah, and then and then when I like inevitably stop playing the game, and then I come back to it 3 months later, I'm like, I have no idea what's going on.
I'm level 30. Dude, I remember like Logan is a side quest master. He played Fallout and a Fallout 4, your first quest is to go to the Red Rocket station. This kid got to level 25 before he even made it to that station. I'm like, wow. You literally are like,
He literally just ignored everything like that.
literally everything. It's like, go here. And he's like, fuck that. Anything but.
Shiny.
Right? It was amazing. He got there and he's like, this game's not hard. No shit. You're like already like 20 levels higher than you should even be close to before you got to that point. Sorry.
It's like-
Oh, no.
It's like
I'm gonna go
he
take my
walks up.
ADHD medicine.
walks up to some like base level like bandits, and he's just like full power armor, just like
Full power armor,
like
fucking-
Davey Boy.
I don't know why I got power armor already.
So,
yeah.
yeah, like I said, we get off topic real fast.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, we're good. It illustrates the point. What I was thinking about, like, okay, there are ways to make a vampire game where it's a lot more like, focus, like go here, do this sort of thing. But I was also wondering if maybe the system itself would not necessarily be a good fit for us. And so then I started to think at work to myself, like, okay, well, what are some other things? I mean, because like I have tons and tons and tons of material for all sorts of different things. What would be a good fit for my group? And I think that this is something a DM or a GM or a storyteller, whatever you want to call yourself, you kind of have to like think about this real like hard before you make any kind of decision, because it's not just what's fun for you, it's also what's a good fit for the group and what kind of story are your players interested in. And I'm not gonna lie, I have a bit of a personal DM sin that I have to own up to here. I have a shit ton of stuff, so it's really easy for me to kind of like look at my shelf and be like, oh, I'm running this game, but I kind of want to run that game too. Oh, or that game, and like I tend to get a little unfocused myself. Anyways, so I was thinking, what would be a good thing to try out for the group? Because I've got a bunch of different stuff. A lot of it is a lot of fun. I personally am really interested in running a lot of these things. And so I was thinking about like all these different books that I have, and I said to myself, well, wait a second. Is there a reason why I can't just do all of them?
I'm sorry, you now super have my attention. What?
I'm intrigued.
So are we gonna do like a hold on? Are we gonna do like a Vampire the Masquerade meets Doctor Who and Call of Cthulhu? Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm slightly aroused right now.
Well, how does this suit you? Because this was my thought process.
You had my attention with mixing Vampire the Masquerade with Doctor Who.
What if you guys all woke up as fledgling vampires, and my character is the one to kind of like find you guys? But I'm not a vampire myself. No. I work for a little organization called Delta Green. And
we're gonna need to turn this off really quick. I don't know, like I feel like that opens up the doors. Like you could not just be, but that would allow you to like not just be vampires, but you could like be vampires, but you could also be like, one could be a vampire, the other one could be like a werewolf. Like you could create like literally your
like or you say like one of the guys is a barbarian from the Conan universe that somehow inexplicably got transported to modern day.
Oh, it's not.
I don't know why, but this guy's a murder machine for no reason. Doesn't understand technology higher than a circle.
Keep in mind, Ben, that it is part of D&D canon that the wizard Mordenkainen takes spells, monsters, and heroes from the D&D universe to make movies in our universe. So literally, what if Mordenkainen is working under the supervision of Delta Green, along with the Doctor?
Jesus
Christ. We have access to not only monsters and magic from other universe, but then we also have the Doctor who can provide us with a TARDIS that can travel through time and space.
If you don't do this,
yeah, I will kill you. I will come to your house, step on your feet. like you're like I don't. All right, we're gonna wrap up the Eberron campaign.
Everyone failed. The world ended.
Everyone failed. Universe destroyed. Sorry. I'm kind of. I love it. Like I think you should do it,
Brian. Like, do it. Like,
yeah, no, I'm absolutely gonna do it. In fact, one of the things I was thinking about, like when I was thinking about everything separate, was I have the material for Call of Cthulhu, Down Darker Trails, which is basically like Call of Cthulhu, but it's in the Old West setting, right?
Oh my god, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, so I was thinking to myself when I was thinking about all of this stuff mixed together, what if there's a plot line where you guys are, you know, in the TARDIS, right? You're trying to go somewhere, and then like you accidentally like end up instead of where you were going in the Old West, right? And the doctor's all like, "Oh, no biggie. I just need this part. Go to the local blacksmith and see if you can just get like him to make this you know, thing." And you know, he gives you guys the instructions, the blueprint for it, and you guys go to the local blacksmith, and it's fucking Doc Brown from Back to the Future.
I feel like I would want to know very little about this campaign. I would want to just I feel if you're gonna do it, we should just pick a time to do it and then go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
What you should do is just give us our character creation options through which system, and then let it go.
And then let us just journey forth into the multiverse.
Yeah, I would like though if you're gonna do it, like and looking at your collection of things, like can we at least pick limits for it? You know, like we can't have somebody from Conan and then another person be like a Jedi.
Well, here's the thing.
Why not?
This is what my thought process was. If I can get you guys all to start as fledgling vampires and have you guys all make vampires for Vampire the Masquerade.
Can we do werewolf? Because I really don't love vampire, but I love the idea of werewolf the apocalypse. Well, when they get to 5, well, we can do fledgling vampire.
Yeah, no, like we can definitely when the books come out, because like I want to have the books for that before I.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I mean, yeah, if I can at least get you guys to start with vampire. The good thing about vampire is that those character sheets actually translate really well to Delta Green. So there's no reason why, if you guys make all vampires at first, that when you guys get actually officially brought into Delta Green, why I can't have you take those character sheets and convert them to Delta Green character sheets, but let you keep the vampiric powers and basically use them as Call of Cthulhu spells. Then, as far as like going into D&D is concerned, Mordenkainen could give you guys magic makeup and magic costumes. The makeup would help to give you guys essentially a fantasy race, and the costumes could function as classes and levels.
I don't want to hear any more about it. I just want to play it.
Like, Brian,
so Nerds of Legend original quest and campaign type will be starting sometime in April.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm very, very much in the idea of there. Like that's very cool.
Yeah.
This is all just shit I came up with while I was at work because I was like,
good.
Oh man,
yes. Let's do it. We'll just figure out a date and time to get it going. So, I really do like the idea of original. Like, and truth be told, I've DM'd so long for you guys that like the idea to play. That'd be kind of fun. You know? So, I mean, honestly, I really want to see where Eberron is going. But I don't even know if I can call it Eberron anymore because you guys have spent about as much time not in Eberron as you have in.
We started in Eberron and then like 3 episodes in immediately left Eberron. Have not really.
We're in Eberron for like 9 episodes. Because half of the first 3 you guys wanted to go shopping. You know, like, where are we going to go? Let's go. You wanted to go, like, hell shopping and to the library. Because I remember I actually had to force you guys out of Eberron.
Yeah.
Like, that's great. We end up at the Bornland. Like, what? Why?
Well, okay. Speaking of, because I've rambled on long enough.
Ramble more. That was fine. We could talk more about all of that.
Hell, I mean, I could walk you through like a character creation for a lot of these shits.
That whole idea had me at full mast just the whole time.
Well, I mean, like we could certainly, and actually, One of the things that we could do to kind of get you guys acclimated to some of the different stuff that we might be going through is we could potentially do like some one-offs. Like, for example, I know you guys aren't familiar with the system of Conan, so it might be a little bit difficult for you guys to make characters for Conan based off of like other stuff and regarding like vampire or whatnot. Like that, not only does that conversion rate kind of like it's a little messy.
Did you actually
also,
know?
Yes, I heard you.
Plus, he can see you in the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, since you guys aren't familiar with Conan, it would be difficult for you.
I played it.
Oh, that's right. You did play it once with me. But Ben and David aren't. So I don't know. We could do like a one shot of that, and kind of get you guys like with some pre-generated characters so that you kind of like know what's going on before we jump into that.
Yeah.
But I know that you guys have played Call of Cthulhu and Delta Green with me before.
Yeah, played Call of Cthulhu for a while, actually.
Oh yeah, for a while there, that was kind of like.
Can we have Stanley become a vampire? That would make me so happy. Like,
would you want him to be a vampire, or would you want him to be like a mage?
I would. If mage is an opposite, that would be Stanley's like 100% like wet dream.
Because
could he be like? Could he be the Stanley, since it'll be Mordecai? Could he be the Stanley that got yanked out of Avernus after he mistakenly cast that spell? So he's like tatted up and still a nerd, but aware that the multiverse is a thing, and he's more than a little crazy.
100%. That
all right
would be a thing.
Are we just joining the TVA? Is that what's going on?
That's awesome.
So I mean, that's kind of how my brain works while I'm at work. I wanted to ask you guys though, because speaking of the creative process, how do you guys come up with a lot of your inspiration? I mean, we've covered like character inspiration beforehand, but like in terms of the inspiration you get from your guys' characters, do you have like a thing where like you like to consume a particular type of media, or like what have been some influences on your creation process when it comes to characters? Like, do you guys have like a particular person you go to talk about character stuff, or like what's up with that? Like,
do you mean like for like developing a character like for a campaign?
A character for, I mean, like some of us are forever GMs, so it's difficult when it comes to like the creation process there, because it's slightly different. You're not necessarily fleshing out characters as much as you are just putting them in the world so that like your players don't go to a shop that doesn't have a NPC at it.
I will say I do try and DM, but you guys always end up like deciding that you want to go back to DMing after like doing like 2 or 3 sessions with me. So I don't know if that means that I'm bad at what I do, or if you just
I don't think I've ever actually played a game with you as a DM.
I don't think I've DM'd for you.
No,
but
you only DM'd with me that one time, and that was with when you were doing Icewind Dale. No, that one campaign, and that was the longest one that I remember. I mean, the first time you DM'd, I remember, but none of us were, because that was after my brother-in-law had passed. So we weren't really all cognizant of what was going on, and we're also wildly intoxicated.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
But no, it's like with a lot of the playing that I've had with you, is we had a really rough group to DM, so I don't feel like I got a good measure of what your abilities are as a DM. That was a horribly difficult group to DM for.
We're not gonna get into that one. But
no, I'm just saying, like, I don't feel I have an accurate portrayal of like a picture of what you would be as a DM, even though I have played with you as the DM. Yeah. I just think there was too many factors to really let you show your stride.
Yeah.
And yeah, I will admit, like, you are a very excitable player. So like I could be like, I'll DM, and you're like, and here's 47 characters that could possibly play this game.
Yeah, I don't know. So my whole thing with character creation is I don't necessarily where I fall flat a bit sometimes is coming up with like a good background for a character. I come up with like a character concept. So like Ticto, I was like I want to be a little tiny time wizard. And I just ran with that. Like there was one like one shot that Joel DM'd for me where I was like we were playing with my wife and a few other people, and we decided that my wife and I decided that we were going to create Master Blaster from Mad Max, and we did.
So you just can't get beyond Thunderdome.
So I was little goblin riding on the shoulders of my half orc barbarian.
That was I remember that when I forgot. Like now that you said it, I remember you had worked like you and Mary had worked the camera angles out so well to where like Mary was like here and then he's like yes. Like it was amazingly fun. Like every time he talked, it would just be one eyeball right in the camera. What'd you say? Like I loved it. Yeah.
She's like, blaster smash, and I'm like,
what's so funny is the juxtaposition of like, just visually, it was humorous to me because like here's Ben, who was physically much larger than his wife, who was this tiny little petite thing, and she's in the background pretending to be this massive ogre carrying around this like sociopathic like
goblin.
And
just like using him as a missile, dual wielding lances.
It was so fun. It was so weird, but like I love the creativity.
Yeah, a lot of times that's kind of like that's where I struggle sometimes with character creation because I like come up with like a character concept without really like fleshing out any kinds of backstory. So like I come up with like, oh, here's this thing that I want to play. So like I played, I think the best character that I've played was actually for Joel's last campaign where I played a human cleric, and it was for an evil campaign, and I came up with all of these reasons why. I think Joel, you and I sat and talked for like an hour about like. I was like, I want to play cleric, and I want him to be like evil, but I also want him to be like order, and we just came up with this reason. We like spent an hour like hashing out a like backstory for this guy of like why an order cleric would suddenly because this was for an evil campaign. It wasn't like it wasn't just I didn't just decide I was going to be an evil cleric. It was an evil. Joel decided we were going to play an evil campaign and
meant to be a one shot. Remember?
Yes, meant to be a one shot, and I was.
It turned out to be a year-long campaign.
Yeah,
that is now 2.5 chapters into a book because it was such an enjoyable session.
We created this cleric that was basically like we like put together all of these motivations for why he would decide to eventually side with Asmodeus and do the thing. And I mean that was that was the greatest character I ever did. I feel like he was like the voice changed a bunch in the first few sessions, but
I will admit, like those three characters that you, Brian, and David played were probably some of the best characters I think I've ever seen. And like your role as like kind of nursemaid to the sociopaths were amazing.
Well, it's just like my character is essentially the leader of the group. But
I didn't. But if you ask the other two characters, they were the leader of the group.
Well, yeah. So it was just like a lot of yeah. I think that like my biggest thing with character creation, I can come up with a character all day. But like my big thing, like I kind of come up with a like concept for a character and then I run with it. Like I decide I want to do like this thing and I build a character around that concept, but then I struggle more with the actual like backstory and that of motivations and whatnot. But I'm trying to get better.
How about you, Joel?
I again forever DM most like when I did play characters, I would get the I suck. I would get like a weird quirk in my head and be like, this is what I'm gonna do. And then it sucked. Like I remember like for Icewind Dale, I'm like, I'm gonna have a gnome that is essentially like Samuel L. Jackson. You know? Like, come on, motherfucker! You know, and he's this and it was like this like trash talking gnome that about 45 minutes into playing, I'm like, I fucking hate this guy. Like, you can only go so far. Like, is it funny to think of a gnome carrying a giant gun, being like, you want some lead, motherfucker? Yeah, that's funny in your head. But like to bases it, that's the entire personality. As like he's just this trash talking thing. No, it sucks. So like I struggle with like I put a little like I get an idea and then I'll like make it and then that's it. Like I will put very little thought into it afterwards and then flesh the character out as it comes. But like I honestly haven't played an awful lot. I've DM'd so much more than I've played characters. So I don't know. Like I need to work on my player character creation.
There was that Tabaxi that you played, but we didn't really get a chance to like
the gunslinger that we played for that horrible player versus player. The guy was like, I want to be. I don't know if you ever met him, but he was like, I want to be the guy we used to talk about that was a rules lawyer but didn't know how to play the game. He was like, I want to DM. And he DM'd a player versus player where he just would be like, we had to fight each other. And he just was like, yep. I was like, what the hell is this?
Well, it's a good way for him to take like focus off of how much he doesn't know the rules. If he has you guys make players and then you guys are all fighting each other, he doesn't have to keep track of anything, you know.
What he then did afterwards was go, I'm just going to keep playing. That was harder than I could have imagined. I'm like, you didn't do anything!
I was like, literally, like, you didn't even have to, like, it's like you created an arena, you made, like, one character.
An arena in Roll20. So you don't even have to explain you didn't even have to explain any of the mechanics. It's not like, well, you're 20 feet away from the pillar and you've got the monsters looking down at you. No, not even that. He would fucking look. He turned on the lighting so like you could see line of sight.
Yeah, he made it so like, there's fog of war.
Yeah, it sucked. I was like, and then he's like, there's a beholder over an anti-magic cone. I'm like, wait, the beholder gives off an anti-magic field. Like, what are you talking about? like I'm like, you don't even know the rules of basic character usage. Like. You can't have a magical effect with beholder referee.
The one thing that sucked was that he had like let slip to me that it was gonna be a 1v1, like a PvP fight,
and I didn't know that.
So then I built for a PvP arena.
Yeah, and I didn't know that. I thought it was gonna be like us versus monsters.
I built
yeah. I maximized mine as like a quick attack character. Like he was a rogue gunslinger. So like I maximized for movement and attack, and had like I was expecting it was going to be like a support character somewhere. No, absolutely not. I come out there. Here's Ben, this beefed up powerhouse, and like, okay.
I built a Hexblade Warlock purely like just to like that. I basically created a Hexblade Warlock that was just like unstoppable in 1v1 combat because of all the buffs and stuff, because of all the like direct damage I could deal between hexes and all that shit.
Oh yeah, it was asinine. Like it was asinine.
Joel started running. Like, wait, what's his fly speed? Oh, 30 feet. Or what's his run speed? 30 feet. Or well, I cast fly.
Yeah.
It was like
it was so irritating.
It was like in friggin' like the Cell Tournament saga in DBZ when just like like Cell just like shoot in front of like in front of like Yamcha, just like beats him into the ground.
Oh, good times. Yeah. Character creation.
Yeah, but as far as character creation, like when you really think about it, my first character ever you gave to me.
Well, I gave you the character level and I gave you the race, but you made the character.
No, I didn't. I didn't even know what an Arcane Trickster existed.
No. It's not like you made the character. It's not like you made.
Oh no, I get it. I played it. I loved him though. Like I just followed the prompts though. Like I didn't know anything about him. I built the backstory as he went. You know, and I think that's the best way for me. Because like eventually the gnome, you know, Dabbledob, which was my foul mouthed gnome, he evolved into. We had another player who played a wizard that then just kind of like disappeared. So I became like, that's my quest. What's going on with this wizard? What's going on with my brother who was also a gnome? And like, I became an artificer because I was jealous because my other brother was a wizard. My parents were like, well, your brother went to wizard school and you just make shit. And so I was like, I'll show you, you sons of bitches. You know? Like, but I evolved the character. But like, yeah, like I remember. Then we played that other one.
Really solid backstory until that dude like bailed. But
yeah, actually, it got better after he bailed because I was like, yeah, this really solidifies it. But yeah, it did come to that. But yeah, we had a whole bunch of people just fuck off, and it sucked.
That is something that's a little frustrating with games. Like when you've got players who are less than reliable in terms of like scheduling and whatnot. Like we actually have a really lucky group.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, most of us are okay.
No, and like recently, David might be out for a little while due to some stuff going on. But he gave us the notice, so he's like we know what's happening, so we're able to make adjustments for the time being. So for those of you who religiously watch the stream and our D&D adventure, Fodor McNurgle will be out for probably the next couple sessions. So if you have any concerns of what happened to him,
still alive,
just for the sake of the game, on a side quest or food poisoning. Haven't really decided yet. So, but yeah, we are extremely lucky to have a group and a consistent play schedule of the group. Like, it's like I know if I hadn't. If we don't communicate all week, I still know 4:30, all of us will be on. You know, unless something else happens.
Yeah, someone gets food poisoning.
Somebody gets food poisoning from a sandwich they got in a magical city made of doors and flying people. Yep.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, well, that's like everybody saw that Futurama where you got space worms.
Yeah.
So, and that's from a gas station egg salad sandwich. Like,
so you're saying
so wait, Fodor is like indestructible now?
Super genius now?
Yeah, Fodor's going to come back a super genius, and he's going to be like a 20th level barbarian because of the worms he got from the Chardon gas station egg salad sandwich.
And again,
that'd be an interesting twist, right? He just comes back massive, riding a fucking T-Rex because
it's like, when did you take 10 levels monk?
riding a dire turkey.
Right. Beardnacious is a fucking Tyrannosaurus.
And yeah, just for anyone who's
I evolved him.
Just for anyone who's watching, if you have any questions for us or would like to chime in, please feel free to throw it up on chat, and we'll do our best to answer whatever you want. So,
oh hell yeah!
Also, on the other side of it, though, like as how I create characters as a DM, I actually, when I tell the story, my imagination is very vivid. So, because I live in it most of the time. And so I literally like build the world in my head around it. So I pull characters out. Like when I saw, like when you guys came out in Eberron and were like screeching, trying to run from those, the House Terlani, I think that was the name it was. The guys trying to like,
Yeah.
The ziggurat scheme guys who are trying to like steal your stuff and go sell it.
Yeah.
And I thought of like, I imagine like it's a train station. So like, you know, in Chicago, when you get off the train, there's always like a policeman walking around. And so I imagine what is going to be the visual show of force, giant ass paladin standing there. But then like every look on every policeman's face that's doing the watch at the train station is kind of like, you know, in their head, they're like, 3 hours, 27 minutes till my shift is over. You know, like they want to be anywhere but there, you know? So I thought about that. Like, what is it? And then you have the guy who's like Paladin, you know, he has to be like, these are the rules because that's kind of what they are. And he's like, right. And then you're like, trigger because Ticto's just word vomiting. Well, I killed a guy. What? Yeah, I killed a guy. I shot his heart clean out. What the fuck? What? Why? You know?
I kneecapped him twice. But
yeah, and then no, you shot his feet clean off.
Yeah.
You shot his feet clean off and blew a hole through his chest with your magic missiles.
Yeah, that's right.
Because you max damage level 1 rogue.
He's like, oh yeah, I did do that, didn't I?
Yeah. And he was like, what? And then you're like, yeah, it was outside of the city. How far? You know,
100 miles?
Long way. And he's like, would you say more than 10 miles? Oh, definitely. Well, then I don't care.
Oh, good times.
So, yeah, I do admire you for your ability to just come up with NPCs on the fly like that.
It's actually easier to come up with an NPC, but I also am a huge fan of like the quirk because like everybody knows you're like, and there's a dragon, and you're like, fuck, the dragon's gonna be this big. I am the strongest, toughest thing. Like I don't know if you've all seen Critical Role, The Legend of Vox Machina, where the dragon's like, I am the eye of the storm, and like all this, I'm the big bad scary guy, and then like you had to go get a dragon scale from a like fussy dragon that sits there and polishes his shell collection. Versus gold, he doesn't have gold. He collects seashells and like puts him on the shelf, and you know, and he spends most of his time in like a half human, half dragon form, you know, in a warm fire. And he's like, "Oh, hello! Are you here to get me my rainbow shell?"
Yeah, doesn't think to tell us that the rainbow shell is a giant fucking snail.
with vacillating magic resistance. I loved it.
Good stuff.
It was fun though.
Well, I feel like a lot of people do that where they take inspiration from different things in their like own personal life, and then they go ahead and say like, okay, well that's good, but like, how can I make something out of that? Like, how can I, do something with that where it's like, oh, hey, I everyone remembers Gary from work, he's a fucking crazy guy. That's a really interesting character. I'm gonna make that into a vampire,
Yeah, it's I'm a big fan of taking in my world creations, coming up with weird character with like taking your typical character and putting an odd twist to it, like the library run full of goblins. Which, yes, was copied a lot from Harry Potter. Like the idea that all the goblins run the banks. Like, that's weird. Because in Dungeons & Dragons, the goblins can barely count, let alone run a banking system, But in Eberron, they're able to, apparently keep tabs of tons and tons of books and issue library cards. I think I like the quirk. There are a few that I don't mess with. Like a devil will always act like a devil. A demon will always act like... you're never going to get a demon in my stories who's sitting there, reading a book and doing some calm, leisurely activity. Because that's not... I think there's some tropes that you have to stick with.
Didn't we encounter a barb devil that was, just like a dude?
No. He was very much still, evil and whatnot. He was just a little bit more willing to talk when we kind of had him dead to rights.
Yeah. The ghost, which one was it?
The one in
the tower
coming out of the Moorlands. There was that
bug
dude. No,
that was
scavenger.
Yeah, but that was not that was an Underdark creature.
Oh, okay.
I think it was an Ice Devil Underdark creature, kind of like mixed thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
in my head, but like,
because I thought it was an Ice
but again,
Devil, so.
in Eberron, the devils still act the way they can. Like, what did he do? In Eberron, the devils are known for being wicked traders. So like, they buy and sell and like trade things of value to one to the other. So like, he was still operating within his caste. You know, like, I'm gonna make a negotiation. I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. But what I mean is, you're never gonna get a devil who's like, in my story, sort of like break his word.
Yeah.
You know, you're never gonna get like a devil that is acting like a crazy person, and you're never gonna get a demon acting like, you know, like some ordered creature. There's certain tropes I keep, like the dragons. Like the dragons are always going to be hoarders. You know,
that's an interesting question because I know that you haven't played it, Joel, because you don't have very much experience with Pathfinder.
No, only that one game, which was a complete, just out of the ordinary murder fest.
Oh yeah,
and was awesome.
There was a particular Pathfinder adventure path called Wrath of the Righteous, and spoilers for anyone who hasn't played that particular adventure. But there was a succubi in that adventure that was desperately trying to fight against their evil nature. They would carry like a holy symbol around with them and whatnot. And if memory serves correct me, it even like kind of burned them a little bit to kind of touch it. But that was kind of like the point where they were like really trying to like actually fight against their elemental evil, you know, 'cause, like, when it comes to extraplanar stuff, it's a little bit different than like an orc. You know what I'm saying? Like an orc can be anything. An orc can be good, can be bad, can be, you know, neutral, because that's just the way of like mortality. You know what I'm saying? Like things are not so simple when it comes to things that are extraplanar evil, because like if you come from hell, if you come from a place which is literally a manifestation of evil, you know what I'm saying? Like if you are made into this sort of thing, then it's a little bit more, it's a little bit different than if you are just a person who kind of has circumstances around birth, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like it's literally the stuff you're made of.
Right. So that's an interesting question though, because how do you feel about things that are more elementally evil or more elementally good actually fighting against that nature? Like, is there room for a story there?
Well, it's more why, because for me, it's more like when I would explain it, it's more like the motivation for it. Like, let's say you're a creature who you realize one day the only thing you're doing is hastening your own destruction, right? Like your society's entire way of existence is hastening your own destruction, so you're going to fall apart. And so you're like, I don't want to die this quickly, so I'm going to do everything I can. Now you can still, because I don't look at evil and good in Dungeons and Dragons. I don't look at it like your classic evil and good. I do good because I'm good. It's more like selfish versus selfless. That's how I interpret it. So you could have a paladin who is like following this evil path because he has decided that it's beneficial for everybody around if he does X, you know? And like, then I look at lawful as more like you follow the rules of the world you're in. So, I mean, if it's like a devil acting against its evil nature, maybe for some reason it's finding a self-centered reason to be altruistic. the devil's giving you help because he knows that if you succeed in this task, it will help him later on. You know, because you got to think with these creatures, they're immortal. Like, they live forever and ever. And so, like, they don't make a plan that's going to last 20 years or 10 years or even a week. They make plans that could be thousands, you know, hundreds and thousands of years to come to fruition. So, I mean, like, if he's like, well, if I do X and give this group of adventurers this, and this is honestly one of my favorite type of storylines. It's like, he'll come in, pretend to be this altruistic thing and be like, listen, most devils are this way, but I'm going to give this to you because he knows if he rides this train over 100 years or 1,000 years, he'll have a whole city of people that worship him and all their souls are his. You know, it's kind of like looking at it like soul banking or soul investing, you know, like I'll free 2 and get 7,000 in return. You know, so that's kind of how I would interpret it in the world of Faerun, in the prime material plane of Dungeons & Dragons, because Eberron very clearly says the rules and class and characters don't really apply there, so that gives you a lot more freedom. But if it's going to be like take for example our evil campaign, right? Mm-hmm. All 3 of your characters ascended to godhood. All 3 of your characters were able to collect souls, never once losing their own. Like, they maintained their autonomy and their they made a deal with the devil, without losing anything.
It came out ahead.
And they only gained, which is not your typical devil, you know, like Infernal Pact. Your typical Infernal Pact is give me your soul and I'll give you a bunch of stuff. But this one turned out to, you know, like now you're dealing with Asmodeus almost becoming an overgod, you know, like a god of gods, because he's got so many souls, which was his actual plan, was to take over as much as he could. And it was a millennia long agreement that you guys were able to give him this massive thing. Which then set me up with an additional creative thing. Like, now he's got a situation where, like, the entire universe is falling apart, and he's like, but I'm really happy here. Awesome. You know? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's... I think with a little bit of creative telling, you could figure it out, you know? It's a little bit harder to come up with a reason for a good, quote-unquote, good creature, like a supposed selfless creature, to suddenly find a way to act in a selfish way and still be able to explain that off. That one is a lot more difficult.
Actually, you know, I disagree. I disagree with that.
Well, that's only because I haven't done it yet. So.
Well, I mean, imagine for a moment that you've got, like, a paladin, right? And they say to themselves, like, okay, this is what my god dictates. Like, they want me to do all of these things that are good. Okay, so I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I've got to do this. And these are all lined out like good acts. These are all like, these are the pinnacle of what my god dictates. And then you start looking at that and you start saying, okay, well, wait a second. If my god dictates that this is a good act, and then if other people who report to be good are not doing these things, what's up with that? Like, I mean, I want to do good, but like at the same time, I feel like there's so much more I could be like. It's easy for a character to fall down that road of like, okay, well, if this is a good act, then anyone who's not doing this must surely be committing an act of evil. And if it's my job,
the like the religious evil. Extremism.
Exactly. Yeah.
We have no evidence to that nowadays. Not one. But no, I get exactly what you're saying. Like, that does make sense when you get so concrete in your beliefs that you become like, no, it's this and this. But then
I mean, it's a little bit different with Dungeons and Dragons, because like in Dungeons and Dragons, you know the gods exist. You know, that you get fucking
they
magic
personally
power.
Come down and say what's up every so often.
Exactly. So it's a little bit different in D&D, where it's all like, no. It's not even just something I believe. It's something that is.
Yeah, he physically came down and handed me this rule book. He signed it, you know? Like,
yeah. I talk to God all the time, and God.
Yeah, literally, he gave me a cell phone. Like, I mean.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Which, by the way, me and Will, we were coming up with something like a lot of people don't know Will, but Joel, you'll know Will.
I know Will. He's awesome.
Yeah, he was talking to me about a campaign he's going to be running where he wants everyone to basically have like a cell phone, and we were talking about like you know, the sending stones as like cell phones, and then I made a joke to him. I go, but like they're going to be kind of crappy cell phones, so I was like, oh, they're flip stones. They're flip.
Oh, that's awesome. So they operate by flipping them in the air, or like there's two halves. You have to just be like.
Then we were thinking of like, you remember that initiative where it was like the Obama phones or whatnot? We were thinking like, is there a fantasy equivalent of Obama that you could do where it's like Obama gave everyone flip stones?
Oh my God. No. Yeah, but it's like when I create a character, I think I like to think what would fit in the situation. But also, the kicker is too, with knowing the way you guys play. I know, like, you have to have a character stand out, or you guys will be like, okay, and just walk on by. You know, like, and I can't have everybody holding a sandwich board being like, hey, come over here. You know, like a guy wearing a sandwich board sign that says quest info here, you know, like, so, but you see like the bartender walking around flirting with everybody, you know, that everybody's like, have you seen what she looks like? You're going to be like, I gotta see what she looks like. You know, like Gertie in what is it? The Honeystone Brewery. She was a good quest point. Like, you had to go talk to her. So what is she? She's the ones like, you overhear all these guys being like, have you seen what she looks like? And so one of you has to be like, you gotta go see what she looks like. You know? And it turns out she's the adoptive daughter of like, what is it? Like an orcish archmage? Yeah. Like an alchemist archmage?
No, wasn't she? She
was a mage.
She was like an archmage, but she had been like adopted by this orc dude.
Well, she was a magical adept or something, and he was an archmage specializing in alchemy, which he used to make booze. Which you're noticing is a trope that like we have this a lot. Like, yeah. Oh yeah. What about you? How do you create characters?
Yeah, I'd be most interested in hear Brian's, because I think you've had the wildest characters I've ever like.
No with. Shit.
Can I list them off before he starts?
Can I start the one off where we first got to realize he's No, yeah, list them off.
All right. So the first one I can think of is a what was the system?
Warforged barbarian that only used iPhone text to speak and didn't understand humor.
Yes, a Warforged barbarian that only used text to speak. So the entire session he would type stuff into his phone and then like, and he had a bunch of.
I still have it actually.
He had a bunch of pre-programmed like things that he would like press. But then also like,
he also didn't understand human interaction.
Yes.
So he tried to be humorous, but he came out deadpan, like with that child, and the child's crying. He's like, "Should I kill him?" And then something get into a whole panic.
Also, like slightly a sociopath.
But yeah. On.
Let's.
Oh right, I actually have my headset in. 1 second.
First character that Brian ever played in front of me.
720. Pardon me.
Pause it.
Pardon me. My official designation is Warforged 43,726,551.7 Gamma Pi Sigma, but you may call me Frank if you so wish.
Yeah. First character.
A whole campaign like that.
Entire like I think it was a 2-shot.
No, it was one.
It was
one. We did that at 1 shot. That was in your apartment.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if we did a second session. So that was the thing. And then the next character I played with was that Mr. Whiskers, or was there another one?
there was he played this one too. It was Captain Blacktalon.
Yeah, Captain Blacktalon. So Captain Blacktalon was an eagle person from what was the system?
The Humblewood setting for D&D 5.
From Humblewood, which is basically like if you think of like Redwall, that's basically what Humblewood is.
It's like a Don Bluth movie, honestly.
Yeah. So like he was an eagle man that was like intelligent, but he only spoke eagle.
Bird. Yep.
He only spoke bird person. But he had a familiar? Would you say?
No, a mount.
No, he had a mount who was a dragon, a drake.
A dragon.
Yes. That was his translator. That was intelligent enough to be his translator for us.
Wait,
so I had a psychic link with him.
But he was not done. Not done. The who was also a pathological liar and spoke like Wayne Brady, but the actual Captain Blacktalon himself spoke like Sean Connery.
But he only spoke. Remember, the kick was Captain Blacktalon could only speak whatever language birds speak, and the dragon could translate, but was a pathological liar and never translated directly.
Yeah.
So Captain Blacktalon would be like, it's wonderful to meet you. And the dragon would be like, go fuck yourself.
It's like, craw, 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 craw.
It was the most, schizophrenic way of playing a character I've ever seen.
But the thing was, he would say, Brad's character would speak what he actually wanted to say as Sean Connery, and then the dragon dude would speak like Wayne Brady. But
yeah.
So but did Captain Blacktalon understood Common, but he couldn't speak it?
Yes.
That is correct. Yes.
Right. Yeah. So that was the second character that Brian played with us. And the third character was Mr. Whiskers, who was a cat.
A dream-walking,
psychopathic dream-walking cat who could fuck with people's heads without them knowing.
Because he was an arcane trickster.
Kill everything, and then groom himself and be like, all these people died. What happened? It couldn't possibly be the cat gleefully licking his butt right now. Oh.
So you could speak into people's heads and convince them to murder each other.
It was a thing I did.
It's just so, just as that's the background. And then you also know, if you've been watching the DN stream, you all also know Edward/Garrett, who is who for the initial half of our stream played a very timid druid who eventually decided to become very
out himself as a criminal underboss.
Yeah, basically out himself as a criminal underboss or something, who had been replaced by his identical twin in whatever life he came from, and is now trying to find his way back. And Ticto did not like it very much when he would decide to flip personalities and thought he was mildly schizophrenic or something. So, Brian, give us an idea of where you come up with these zany characters that I have.
Well, there's a few other characters. There's a few other characters that I think Joel can elaborate on. Joel, do you remember Wilfred?
Oh
my God, yes! Wilfred was a turtle sorcerer that did not believe he had any magic. Instead, he believed all of his magic came from a petrified stone mouse called Petronella. Which then, through the adventure, Petronella turned out to be an enlightened animal that had been petrified 1,000 years ago and was a level 5 druid who was fucking evil as shit. And so Wilfred would be like, I don't like to hurt people's feelings. And Petronella would be like, fuck him up! Burn his face off! Like he talked like Gilbert Gottfried, and all he wanted to do was destroy everything. And we're like, so
I'm so jealous of you.
Wilfred was lawful good, and Petronella was chaotic evil.
Oh God!
Burn everything to the ground.
So Brian,
to answer your guys' questions,
now that we've given that introduction, Brian, how the fuck do you come up with characters?
Well, actually, it's not all too different from something you said earlier. Like when I get a really good concept in my head, I kind of like roll with it. For example, one of the things I wanted to do, we were going to do the Eberron campaign, and I was throwing a bunch of stuff against the wall in my head to kind of see what stick. But all the character concepts I came up with, I wasn't happy with, because I was like, okay, well, wait a second. This is an Eberron campaign. It's not just like every other thing. You know, I've got to have a story with this one, because it's a very noir kind of like setting. So I wanted him to have something to him that was a little bit more crunch. You know what I'm saying? So I was thinking to myself, like, okay, well, if it's a film noir setting, I want to do something almost like one of those old gritty like detective stories where it's like, you know, maybe he's like he's on the run from something, and so he like has to like pretend to be one way, and then he's like, oh wait, that's a really good idea. And then I just like started like evolving with that. Like, what if he pretends to be like a Clark Kent sort of character where he's like bumbling and kind of like meek and shy and whatnot, but then like below that he's like a darker kind of like noir kind of character,
crime boss.
I mean, I don't intend for him to be a crime boss. He's very pragmatic.
What are you talking about? He's like literally extorting like an archfey. Like the guy's like, I'm one of the guardians of the chain and one of the most powerful creatures in the multiverse. And Garrick's like, how about you stop fucking around and give us the goods?
Here's what you're going to do.
Yeah, let me explain this to you in short, easy to understand sentences. And the guy's like, oh my god. And some say that day, Garrick's balls grew 3 times.
I may have... and then Bob went, I may have miscalculated with this group.
That seems to be a running theme for Bob.
Yeah, Bob is a terrible judge of character. Like, that is 100% giveaway. Bob sucks at judge. They're like, we'll do this cool thing. He's like, I'm in. You're not going to hear the ramifications? No time for that. I've only got eternity. Let's go.
Just sounds like a great idea.
That sounds like an awesome idea. All right, let me...
That's exactly why I got you that plaque, Joel. Exactly why I got it.
Oh, my God. That was the first thing that was put up, too. That's a horrible idea. I'm in. That will go if ever we get, like, an office for Nerds of Legend. Like, if ever we do this, like actually get, like, a place to do this, I'm going to put that plaque right behind my head because it screams the entirety of the party.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's a horrible idea. I'm in.
So sorry, we interrupted again. Yeah.
No, we're good. We're having a conversation. I don't know. Like whenever I come up with a character that I'm gonna play, or even sometimes when I'm like coming up with like DM characters, I don't know. I tend to like take a little bit of column A and column B, where it's like I'll take a little bit of something I might have seen in like either a show or a TV or, you know, like a movie or something like that. Like, you know, and I'll say, okay, that's okay. Can I work with that? Is there something there that I can kind of like explore a little bit more? Or sometimes I'll just like think of just really interesting concepts. Like, again, I'll be at work or something like that, and I'll be thinking about philosophy because I'm a nerd. And I'll be like thinking about I'll be thinking to myself like, okay, well, the circumstances around one's birth are essentially luck. And so if someone is the one way that they are today, does that mean that if they were born into a different situation that they would act differently? Like, for example, if you are really, you know, affluent and rich and, you know, very like you never have to worry about it. Like, would you still have the same sort of like values, or would your environment impact the way you see things, and therefore you never have to like, because if you never have to worry about anything, would you still have the same, like, you know, just basic principles of philosophy, like, you know, questioning, you know, what makes something
would
work.
Your perception of scarcity be
right
be there? Because like it is true, like I see people nowadays, you know, like, oh my god, I'm broke, and then you find out they've got $3,000 in their bank account. You're like, that's not broke. Probably living a month and a half off ramen noodles. Like, that's broke, you know?
Yeah. And so
like that, you know.
Yeah.
Or the like bills or food type thing, you know? Like, we've all had to dance that dance at some point in time. Because Ben and I did sales once. We had to deal with being broke.
You know that you're broke when you're always like...
I should have put trigger warning up there. Ben, are you triggered?
Slightly.
Just remember, think of the duck. Breathe in. That's funny. He's like, and Ben is no longer interested. You just slam all your drinks, fill up another one.
He's like, if we're gonna have that conversation, I need more drink.
Yeah.
Right. Actually, the job was so terrible they had a keg in the office so that you could get hammered, because that way you'd forget your job sucked and you were broke.
And a dry bar, don't forget.
Yeah, and a dry bar. Yeah. Which got ruined because the two people that came in and got sloshed at 9 a.m. were like, they closed it. It was the only perk of the job.
Yeah.
Free booze.
And then it immediately went away.
Yeah.
Before I even started, they're like, "Oh yeah, we have a wet bar. We have a keg here for everyone at the end of a long day." And I was like, "Fuck yeah!" And then I get there and they're like, "Oh, by the way, we haven't filled that up in don't know how long."
Yep. But
I don't know. I was just saying, like, when it comes to, like, you know, thinking about things like that, you know, I might take certain concepts that I find interesting from, like, you know, just, you know, random thoughts I have at work, and I might, like, apply that to a character and be like, okay, well, that's interesting, but can I make that work as a character? Like, can I make this character almost like a case study for an idea that I had while I was, like, filling up sweetener? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know.
Yeah. See, one of the things I've always admired, because, like, I'm good at coming up with, I could go with the flow pretty quickly. But I need a world structure. Okay, like, I have to do a lot of research into the Feywilds or Eberron, or not so much the Prime Material Plane, because, I mean, I've done a lot of campaigns in there. But, like, I have to understand a lot of where I'm coming from, because I need that world structure, you know? Like, because I'm not good at creating the universe. I'm good at creating the story within an existing multiverse or universe. But, like, what I've always liked is, like, your ability to, like, just make shit up. Like, you might not be as, like, free-flowing of a story maker as, like, I am. Because you said, like, I give a lot of player agency, which I love. Because a lot of the times I don't know where my story's going to end. I just know vaguely I'm going to be standing on one side waving a flag, hoping you fuckers see it. But, like, your ability to create an entire, like, cosmology has always been impressive to me. Like, you can just make shit up on the fly. And I've always been like, that's daunting to me. Like, creating the universe is daunting. The storyline and the place in it is fine, but I will always use existing pieces and then move them how I choose. As opposed to, but you'll make up a whole new fucking everything. And you're like, it's kind of, it's impressive. So, like, but yeah, I don't do well with that part, but I can move around. You give me pieces, I can move them in a near infinite, you know, variation. And maybe it just comes with time, because you've been doing this since the dawn of time.
I mean,
it's the great arguing with Gygax in '94.
It was 2005, thank you.
Ah, yes. The argument of 05.
Was it 5? No,
so
it had to have been.
What rule did you argue with him, by the way?
It wasn't a rule. I just basically told him his adventures suck.
Oh.
You remember that whole thing you played that I play religiously? You suck.
I feel like you need to tell this whole story.
Well,
I've just heard like references to it. I want to hear the whole story.
Well, unfortunately, though, I do have to get off here because I have to go to work early today.
Yeah, we're coming up on time, so it'll have to be a story for another
time. You can. I mean, we got enough time for you to wrap that one up if you'd like to go out with a bang on it, or we could.
I'll save it for you. Gotta leave them one or more. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
So I'll go ahead.
Time on Talk Nerdy to Us, you'll get to hear about Brian arguing with the great Gary Gygax.
You know, he actually took it really well. He was really nice guy.
I assumed he would, but like still.
Yeah, you find out the next.
How many people can like claim to say that one, Brian? Like,
well, Gary Gygax lived like 40 miles north of here, so probably a lot. Like,
fair.
I believe like he was from. What was he from? Like Lake Geneva.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that's like 40 miles north.
Yeah.
So probably a lot more here than anywhere else.
Yeah.
But then you look at his very next campaign he wrote. There's a character named Ballard that got murdered mercilessly.
That'd be amazing.
That would be awesome, dude. That would become my new favorite one. I'd be like, I'm pretty sure I'm this guy.
Oh, speaking of which, before we go, did you guys see that for the new D&D Magic the Gathering card set, they actually put Christopher Perkins in the card set as Minsk the Mighty?
Yeah, I did see Minx as Boo, Minx and Boo, because I have both of them. Yeah, Christopher. He's like a much musclier. He's like a way more ripped version of Christopher Perkins. But yeah, he is definitely. Matt Mercer is not represented as Boo though. Like Boo is still a giant hamster.
I mean, yeah.
But he does have an attack and a special card you could throw on a giant Boo. So yeah, I have almost the entire set of the Magic the Gathering Forgotten Realms. Like I'm glad they switched to a new one because it was becoming a problem.
Mm.
So I have a whole box I still need to go through.
Well, there's I think Brian, are you talking about the upcoming set or the last one?
The upcoming set.
Wait, there's an upcoming one too.
Yeah, there's a Forgotten Realms. There's a Baldur's Gate set coming.
Yeah, and that's the one where like they literally took Christopher Perkins' face.
I'm getting upset with Wizards of the Coast because I only make so much money, and goddamn it, the Bills are taking it. It could be used much better. Yeah. So we're gonna need everybody watching to tell everybody, at least 100 people about this to subscribe.
So
I need to be able to buy them.
Yeah, so we're gonna wrap up here, guys. We'll be back next week. Hopefully with another episode of our D&D campaign. And
if you need to catch up, you can find the entire series on YouTube right now. Just search for Nerds of Legends on YouTube, and you should be able to find it. I believe do we have a link for chat that we can throw out there real fast?
I could make one real quick.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want to, be sure to follow us here on Twitch so that you know that when we're going live. Give us, a subscription on YouTube so that you know when every new video is released, and give our videos a like if you can. Little thumbs up. It really helps with the algorithm. We're trying to grow the channel, and of course, we're always looking at new content. And if you want to send us a shout out, or if you want to ask us a question, you can actually mail us at noltalknerdy@gmail.com. And that's how you can get various questions in for us to talk about on the show, or you can just give us a shout out, and we might be able to mail you back.
If you are interested in maybe being a guest spot on our campaign, you can email me directly at nerdsoflegend@gmail.com. If you're interested to be participate in our campaign in any way or have an idea for it.
Yep. And
that way, we have a separate email for that one, so that if you give me any campaign ideas, my players do not know.
Yep. There we go. And then, if any of you haven't yet, obviously, please give us a follow. We're trying it. We're kind of on our road to affiliate. So, and every little follow helps. And it'd be great. Thank you, everyone who decided to watch, and we'll see you again next week.
Yes, appreciate it as always. Good night.